Here is a paradox worth sitting with. The people who feel the most anxious about money are frequently not the poorest people in the room. And the people quietly building real wealth often do not feel wealthy at all. They feel ordinary. They feel like nothing is happening. That feeling of nothing happening is the single most misunderstood signal in personal finance. Because in the world of compounding, nothing happening is precisely what progress looks like. Wealth in America has a public image problem. It has been sold to us as a moment. The lottery alert, the startup exit, the keys to a car that costs more than most people earn in a year. But the data tells a different and far more boring story. The majority of American millionaires did not inherit their money and did not win it. They accumulated it slowly, invisibly, over decades, while looking almost identical to their neighbors who accumulated nothing. Getting rich, for most people, is not an event. It is a series of unremarkable Tuesdays. So, the useful question is not how does it feel to arrive. The useful question is how do you know you are on the road at all when the road is this quiet? There are 8 signs. If you recognize even 2 or 3 of them in your own life, you are almost certainly further along than you feel. Sign 1. Your spending is deliberate, and it costs less than you make. This is the foundation, and it is astonishingly rare. The median American household saves only a single-digit percentage of its income, and a large share saves nothing at all. So, if there is a real gap between what you earn and what you spend, month after month, you have already separated yourself from most of the country. Notice the word deliberate. This is not about deprivation or clipping every coupon or feeling guilty at a restaurant. It is about a lifestyle that quietly costs less than it could. That gap between income and outflow is not just savings. It is optionality. It is the ability to say no. It is the reason a surprise expense is an annoyance instead of a catastrophe. Track it for 1 month. Subtract what you spent from what you earned. If that number is positive and slowly growing, that alone puts you ahead of the majority. Sign 2. You think in decades, not in days. Most people are wired for the quick win, the next bonus, the next refund, the next hot tip that a coworker swears by. The quietly wealthy are playing a different game entirely, one measured in 10 and 20-year blocks. Consider the arithmetic that makes this matter. A person who invests $300 a month into a broad index fund and simply leaves it alone is not doing anything clever. But at historical market averages, that ordinary habit can grow into roughly $300,000 over 30 years on total contributions of about $108,000. The difference between what went in and what came out is not luck. It is patience, mechanized. When the market falls 20%, the long-term thinker keeps buying. The short-term thinker panics and sells at the bottom. If your instinct during a crash is to keep contributing, you're already doing what most people cannot. Sign 3. You have a cash buffer, and you never bring it up. There's a specific kind of calm that money can buy, and it does not come from luxury. It comes from a boring account with a few months of expenses sitting in it, untouched. Roughly a third of Americans could not cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. So, if your car breaks down and your first reaction is mild irritation rather than genuine fear, you are experiencing something most people never do. The quietly wealthy do not brag about this buffer. They rarely mention it at all. It is not a status symbol. It is a shock absorber. And here's the tell. If you have 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside, you are already in the top quarter of American households by that measure alone. You built the thing most people only wish they had after the crisis has already arrived. Sign 4. You earn more, but you do not automatically spend more. Something strange happens on the road to quiet wealth. Your income climbs, and your baseline life stays roughly where it was. This is immunity to what economists call lifestyle inflation, the near universal tendency for spending to rise to meet every raise. Picture 2 workers who both get promoted from $70,000 a year to $95,000. The first keeps living on what they lived on before, and routes the entire $25,000 raise into investments. The second upgrades the apartment, finances a nicer car, and within a year, the raise has vanished into higher fixed costs. On paper, they earn the same. A decade later, they are not remotely in the same place. If a raise arrives and your first question is not what can I finally buy, but how much more can I put to work, you have leveled up in a way that has almost nothing to do with income. Sign 5. You have stopped keeping score against other people. When money is tight, comparison is constant and corrosive. The co-worker with the new truck. The friend whose vacation photos make your own life feel small. Social media becomes a highlight reel engineered to make you feel behind. The quietly wealthy have quietly opted out of this game, not because they are enlightened, but because they have done the math. They understand that a great deal of visible wealth is financed, that the $70,000 truck often comes with a 7-year loan and a payment that outlasts the excitement. When you stop comparing, you stop making financial decisions to impress an audience that is not paying your bills. You become immune to marketing, to peer pressure, to the fear of missing out. Those three forces keep more people broke than low incomes ever will. Sign 6. Money has gone quiet in your head. When you are struggling, money is loud. It narrates every decision. Lunch becomes a calculation. Gas becomes a calculation. The mental math never stops, and it is exhausting. But when the systems are in place, the noise fades. Contributions are automatic. Bills pay themselves. The portfolio is diversified and mostly ignored. The quietly wealthy person is not thinking about money more than everyone else. They are thinking about it far less, because they engineered it to run without them. That freed up mental bandwidth goes somewhere better. To family. To work that matters. To questions larger than next month's rent. When money stops being the main character in your daily thoughts, that is not neglect. That is a system doing its job. Sign 7. You have started buying back your own time. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money. The quietly wealthy reach a point where they begin trading money for time, and they do it deliberately. They pay for the thing that returns hours to their week, not because they are lazy, but because they have recognized that time is the one asset no income can replenish. This is a subtle shift and easy to miss. You start paying for convenience instead of chasing every discount. You decline the meeting that serves no purpose. You let go of the urgency that once ran your calendar. These are internal upgrades, invisible from the outside, which is exactly why most people overlook them. Real wealth is not only a number in an account, it is how much of your own day actually belongs to you. Sign 8. You have traded excuses for ownership. This is the quietest sign and the most powerful, because it lives entirely in how you talk about your own situation. The person going nowhere has a catalog of reasons. The rent is too high. The economy is rigged. The student loans are crushing. And none of those complaints are wrong, exactly, which is what makes them so comfortable to hide inside. The quietly wealthy face the same constraints and respond differently. They stop saying, "I cannot afford that," and start saying, "That is not a priority for me right now." One sentence surrenders control. The other keeps it. Consider two people earning the same modest salary in the same expensive city. One optimizes what is actually within reach: a roommate, a shorter commute, a lower fixed cost, and quietly invests the difference. The other spends 5 years explaining, with real eloquence, why saving was impossible. 5 years later, only one of them has anything to show for it, and it is not the better storyteller. Ownership does not remove the constraints. It just puts you back in the driver's seat inside them. So notice what none of these 8 signs required. Not a 6-figure salary, not a windfall, not a perfect economy, or a lucky year. Every one of them is a behavior, a posture, a way of relating to money that is available at almost any income. That is the part the highlight reel never shows you. Real wealth in America is built quietly, boringly, on a foundation of ordinary decisions repeated until they compound into something that cannot easily be taken away. Not by a recession, not by a layoff, not even by your own doubt on the days it feels like nothing is happening. If it does not yet feel like you are getting rich, look again at the signs, because you may already be doing the work. The money is simply running a little behind the behavior, the way it always does. Keep going. Understanding money is your best defense.